to nothing. Which we realize to second time.
Good evening, Bibles Baptist Church. So today we are beginning our community meeting. This is the sound recording for those of you who are not employees, and in addition, for those of you who want to provide inputs. So we are monitoring the chat for your inputs. So here at Bios Baptist Church, we will bring the world together under God. Now, let's move on to our mission and our vision. May every man on earth be acceptable in the eyes of the Lord and be on the first rapture to heaven. Our mission, saving as many people as possible from eternal punishment. Amen. Now, we are here about the Bios Baptist Church curriculum. Of course, we have moved away from the outside curriculum and from the international Sunday school curriculum and decided to craft our own curriculum for our namesake. Bios Baptist Church believes that all persons of all ages have a right to a wholesome and righteous and easy to understand education in Jesus and in life in general. So, we do this by having a variety of classes available to the public. Today, we are going to take a look at how we can reform those classes or add or take away some or whatever we need to do to make these our resources more available to the public. Amen. So we are going to take a look at our CCS, Common Core Standards. So the Common Core Standards grouping is the lettered standards that you would typically see if you're a staff member. Remember, next year it will be the law to publicize all standard groupings and then make available to the public standards. We will have barcodes set up differently next year. Now, here's what we need today. Today, we need everybody to be able to agree on a plan of how the four tracks should run concurrently with one another. Then we need a plan and what to do if the day shift is not available to handle any tracks. Yes, this can happen. If we have a Jericho's lockdown, a suspicious situation, approvals to start classes can and most likely will be delayed. So, what should we do about this? So, now we will begin the meeting shortly. Please sit here and think about what we are doing today. Okay, so what's gonna happen is that microphone was not working. Paul Mannix, chief of the um, Department of Emergency Prayer. So yeah, how another thing we like to do is we like to have the emergency department take an active role in classes. So how can we do that, General? Again, your microphone is not working for the live stream YouTube, so I cannot hear you. Type in the chat, please. No, not the YouTube chat, the meeting chat. Okay, so we can let's go back to our calendar. So on track 1, 9 a.m., we have classroom. Track 2, we are supposed to have another form of, we have church service on Sundays, 1:30. Young adults on Wednesdays, 1:30. Track 3, 4 p.m. These are your general classes. 4:30 p.m. we have God's Book of Life. And then specialty on Saturdays. So let's take a look at this. We hardly are going through the curriculum as we're supposed to. Classroom is designed with the purpose of mind to teach a general across the range curriculum. Usually we only teach subject matter that's in common between the three classes. Now, classroom is for all ages. Yes, for all ages, as long as you are 6 and above. Then you can go to classroom. Wait a minute. No. Scratch that. Classroom is for youth, young adults, and adults. You can be in classroom once you are a teenager. So we are dividing classes based on grade. I mean, not grade level, but we are dividing classes based on age. Now, we no longer would we put youth in the adults class because the youth department services up until 20. Even though in Bios Baptist Church, the age of majority is only 15. The youth department continues its service until age 20. And then the adult department does not start its service until age 26. So therefore, no, but then see, we have a gap though, because we have a natural starting point, and then we have the excess. And then we have a natural stopping point, and then we have the excess. So anywhere between, in times past, 15 and 16, that would be the age range where you could go to both youth and adult classes. But we notice, but then see, here's what's happening. We are teaching the adults on a lower level just to cater to a lot of youth who feels that, well, the youth is too advanced and the adults are just right. But then see, what's supposed to happen is the adult classes are supposed to be a little higher. We do not have what we call a steeple class. So therefore, if you want the tip-top education, you have to go to specialty, Bible study. God's book of life teaches all ages, but it teaches corresponding to the day that it's taught on. So God's book of life, all ages can go to God's book of life. But see, on God's book of life is not controlled 100% by the Bios Baptist Church channel guidelines. So therefore, they had a young adults class before we did. Because see, they were under the CAS bill. The CAS bill was passed in the April of 2017 in the courts of Nazareth in Bios Baptist Church, which is children, adults, and seniors. Now, at the time, children's age, we have, if you are a child, you keep going until you are 20, no matter what. Adults range is going to go all the way up until probably, let's say, around a healthy 50 or 45. I think it was 45. And then seniors is anything that's not in those two categories, as prescribed by Bios Baptist Church law in 2016. But see, modifications was made to the law so that God's book of life can fit in to the Bios Baptist Church rotational law. The rotational law states that Bios Baptist Church must provide classrooms to younger preteens, older preteens, teenagers stopping at 15 but extending to 20, adults starting at 26 but then extending to 20, but not a day under 20, and youth not a day over 20. So if you're 20 at the time, you could be in both classes. You see how we didn't make sense? So once you turn 21, you're only in the adult class. And once you're 20, you can go between both, because both of them, the adults is not a day before 20. Youth is not a day after 20. So you see, that means we can't put 19-year-olds in the adult class and we can't put 21-year-olds in the youth class. But there's no rules regulating where we put the 20-year-olds. So even then, there was a loophole for the young adults curriculum, which we also name transitional adults, because that's when we kind of bring them out of the youth perspective into full adult perspective. Now, here's the thing. If we had this system when the church first started, a lot of people probably would have cycled through all of these by now. Probably would have been, because probably would see somebody in pre-youth, junior, and then go up to and then youth. We haven't been here long enough for anybody just starting in youth to actually go into adults. But we would like to, though. But see, what we will do is the whole church, the rotational law. We're going to edit the CAS bill, which was extinct with the discontinuement of the God's Book of Life program. And then now that it has been brought back and eased back into the system, we are going to, right, yeah, we're going to modify it. We are going to modify the CAS bill because that only makes sense to modify it. Now, the CAS bill is for children, adults, seniors. Now, we don't go by children anymore, we say youth. So, and we don't go by adults now, are from just 15 to 26. And then senior is just anybody that's not in the category. So it doesn't mean necessarily for old people. Doesn't mean that. You're senior in the Bios Baptist church system. Because see, when you're in the young adults, when you're in the youth, when you're in the pre-youth, you have a lot more devices. We have a lot more structure. We have a lot more everything for those departments. We have special bays for the youth department because we need to do things to attract the youth. We would edit the music differently. Pre-youth beginners and pre-youth juniors, we have story time. We have children's bays specially designed for that. And for the young adults, we make it a lot more technical. We have a lot more technology involved. We have a lot more, and we need to do something to integrate sports into the youth and the young adult system because those two kind of go together. These two departments need to pull together to see about transitioning the youth because you could choose to go to young adults or you could stay in youth and then go to adults. But then see, because we built the young adult class, remember, the general track is not under the CAS bill like God's Book of Life is. So for God's Book of Life, youth at the age of 20 can be in both youth and adult class. And then when they turn 21, they got to get out of there. Right? So, yeah, I was looking up the law. Yeah, when you are in God's Book of Life, you security doing something to the church cat. Well, the security's in the back of the church, cat's up front, so there's no ways getting back here. Big divider. So if you're in God's Book of Life past the age of 15, you're eligible for the young adults class. Then when you turn 20, now remember, both laws apply. You can still be the youth class, and then you're now eligible for the adults class, but you can always go to the young adults class if you want. But once you turn 21, you cannot go to the God's Book of Life youth class. You can only go to the God's Book of Life adult class under CAS law, and then you could go to the young adults class under rotational law until you're 26. When you turn 26, then you can't be in the young adults class anymore. You can only be in the adults class. Now, these rules are not etched in stone. These are your These are how learning objectives made. For best effect, it's best to go to your class. For the best effect. I'm not saying if you're too old, don't go to any of the other classes, because in all classes, it's the same teacher. So obviously, you're going to learn something no matter what. And plus, the beginner's curriculum and the junior's curriculum for pre-youth is made is made differently. Now you see, there was some talk about breaking up and having a transitional youth class. But I think the Bios Baptist Church youth department, since it is one department, is very good at transitioning kids from beginners to juniors to youth without having to create a new class. So we do not need a seniors class for the pre-youth department, because see, the pre-youth department and the youth department, they're called ministries. Those two ministries are under the youth department, which is a hierarchy there. So you can work just for the youth ministry and do all the jobs there, but really the youth department's job is to run. It's not to run, but to watch over those two ministries. So think of it like federal and then state governments. That's how we have that system, except without the voting. We don't have that. This is an independent church. So let's take a look at youth. I mean, so now we got that transition straightened out of who goes where. Yeah, everybody goes to classroom. If you are 12 and up, you can go to classroom. Or not 12 and if you are 6 and up, you can go to classroom. Once you hit 6, you can go to classroom. Really, 7, we want to set an age that corresponds with transitional laws, because the working age at Bios Baptist Church is 7 years. Now, even so, we don't even you don't have majority work privileges until you are 13. You have to be 13 to earn majority work privileges. So therefore, your work is supervised by church staff, and your work is still kept to basic tasks and duties, and it is voluntary and only kept to school hours. I mean, after school hours. Now, for the pre-youth juniors, who, if they want, can work in, they have to work in their own department, not like youth where can work in other departments. They have to work in their own department where there's hardly anything to do. And really, there's not really much to do for them but to provide inputs and videos and answer surveys, questions, and things like that. Make changes and modifications. Once you are 15, you have the age of majority in Bios Baptist Church. So therefore, once you're 15, you can apply and you're treated as everybody else. You have full privileges. But you have to be 20 years and above to be considered a major, which that's just one position, but that's next in line for pastor. I don't think we should start picking out majors yet, because the current pastor has to pass away first in order for a new pastor to take place. There is no retirement protocol. If you want to be an assistant pastor, however, then that could be I think you have to have There is no age limit. You just have to have the will to do it, the will to learn it, and the knowledge. There is no age limit on it. But we certainly aren't going to put a 7-year-old in charge of the whole church. We cannot do that. But there is no legal age limit within the walls of Bios Baptist Church. As a matter of fact, if we were to set one, we'd probably set it to, I think a decent age would be, because you have the age of majority at 15. 15. So I think 15 might be the good age to set everything to. Because that is the default age when you can't figure things out. Now, if you prove outstanding in your duties, like I have been doing my whole life, then we'll consider you. That's why we haven't set an age. This way, we're not turning away people who could be a blessing to the church. Because what if there's a 14-year-old who walks in the door and wants to say, well, I want to help run the church. I want to do this. I want to do that. But the reason why we would be able to use that person is they still have some restrictions. They still have to be supervised. They still can't work a full shift. So therefore we have restrictions. And then we have 15. Anything that starts at 15 can extend to 20. So it's on a case-by-case basis by the individual. So we can't say, oh, you're 15, now we're going to treat you as an adult. No. We don't make that decision. God made that decision if you should have full privileges in Bios or not. If you are ready, then you're ready. If you're not ready, then you're going to have to wait. So we think of Bios more as a village type church than a hierarchy. There is no hierarchy here. We're very flexible with our boundaries. Sometimes the flexible boundaries could get us in trouble. A lot of times they don't. So we'll keep doing it and see what it gets us. Now, the next thing I want to go to is, are we meeting the standards curriculum? Now, it shows that kids under the age of 6 have access to only one class. Kids 6 to 12 have access to 3 classes. Youth have access to also 3 classes. This is maximal, because classroom is every day. Let's start over and go by the week. So for an entire week, pre-youth have access to just 1 class. Youth have access to, 7 classes. Young adults, 7 classes. Adults, 7 classes also. Juniors, 7 classes. So we need to do something on a daily basis, though. Wait, no. Youth, young adults, and adults have access to. Now, this would have to be on a monthly basis, different classes. 10 classes. While youth, on the daily monthly basis, juniors, only have access to 8 classes. And beginners only have access to 2 for the entire month, different classes. So therefore, we need to do something because the pre-youth beginners are getting disadvantaged. How can we make the system more balanced? We need to have a balance. We have an unfair advantage of everybody else because since you pre-youth cannot understand what is being taught in the classroom, we need to, do something. Now let's talk about pre-youth as a whole. God's Book of Life, I wouldn't recommend it personally for pre-youth because it's done the same way every day. Probably youth, young adults, and adults it would attract. And probably the juniors, pre-youth juniors. But I would not recommend it for youth. I just don't know why, but I just don't think so. Would recommend it. Definitely not for beginner. Beginner needs to be approached a different way. We need to approach it a different way. Because, see, youth, young adults, and adults kind of can read between the line, while the juniors sometimes they can if they want to catch you in a lie. But the pre-youth, even you can lie to them, and then by the time they find out and expose you for it, you've already done the lie. So your actions, your thoughts turn to words, turn to actions before pre-youth can catch you. Beginner. Pre-youth juniors, your thoughts turn to words, and then they catch you right there. And sometimes they can look at you and tell if you're lying. Youth, I don't know how they know. Now the adults they know already, but they know before you even open your mouth, but they don't say anything. They don't always say something. Cause see, unlike the kids, they know when to say something and when not to say something. They say, okay, let him keep going and doing that. One day we'll get him. But the kids, they just call him out right there, say, that's a lie. Or you're lying to me, aren't you? So yeah, I've gotten all kinds of caught in a lie with a child. So I'm thinking, well, they're a child. I could lie to them. I could get away with it. No, you're lying to me, aren't you? And I said, no, you're smirking. You're laughing. You're doing this. You're moving your hands. You're rolling your eyes. You're not looking at me. So it's like, my gosh, how do they know that? At such a young age. That's a good age, really. 1:30 p.m. So what I'm thinking we should probably do Sunday. We're getting full, so we just as well we open that lock and put meetings from 4 p.m. and 4:30 meetings. 9 a.m. We need to have a 9 a.m. Sunday school. Now Sunday school, but who's teaching Sunday school? That's my thing. We need to have a Sunday school. Sunday should be another day where the track is full. Because 4 p.m. and 4:30 is staff meeting. And then it turns community at 4:30. So when can we have a Sunday school? Saturday at 1:34 p.m. is available, and every day at 1:30, except for Sundays and Wednesdays, are available. So whatever else you want to add it. Well, see, you're thinking, I don't know why we want to get rid of the 130 track. I think we should embrace it because one day we're going to need it. That's why I don't want to add anything else that would cause any more problems. Because Saturdays, really, we're done at 4 p.m. God's Book of Life is a 5 day a week class. We have 5 core classes. So we cannot add any more core classes. It has to be a specialty. We have 3. We have core, we have God's Book of Life, and then we have the classroom track, and then we have the specialty track. Bible studies considered specialty. If we got a Sunday school, it'd be considered specialty too. So what do you want to do? Because as of right now, we have 5, 10, 15, 18 classes a week. We're live 18 times a week. And have the ability to do 7 more. Well, 8 more. So we have room for 8 more classes. Remember, we're already using the 4 p.m. tracks, just not every single week. Every meeting's going to be at 4. So we're going to have 3rd Sunday analytics meeting, 4th Sunday curriculum meeting. So what else would we be doing with that space? So what we're going to do, put meeting, only first meeting, 3rd and 4th, because the BIOS closes its doors at 2 p.m. at 2:30 at 3 o'clock on Sundays. We close our doors. So therefore, will never be anything. Okay, we'll come back to this, but we're not. But this is not over, just so you know. And I'm not upset, but seriously though, this is not over. But classroom, how should classroom be structured? Are you saying we can only pull from the text, from the standards? Okay, but there are different standards for different departments. So tell me, how is this getting done?
11, 12, 13, 14.
Right. This meeting was supposed to be over at 5. Okay, so classroom, we will pull from a random standard that hasn't been covered. So we have 26 in pre-youth, 30 in youth. Let's just say we have a total of 70 standards. And then I think we have about because the church year is, I think we have almost because we have to take out New Year's, we have to take out Christmas, we have to take out Easter, 2 weeks. So we have 5 more months, really. Well, 6 months. It should have been 7. And then we have to wrap it up. So if we do probably a standard a day, now remember, standards are being covered in other classes. So what we're going to do is you're going to cover a standard, and then we are going to use the name of the standard. This way we just cover it all together. Now, on the live stream timetable, we have the classroom highlighted with the rest of the day. So what we could do is take whatever lesson. If it's Monday, we're pulling from pre-youth. If it's Tuesday, we're pulling from youth. If it's Wednesday, we're pulling from adults because most of the young adults in there are adults. That's the whole point, getting you to the adult class. On Thursday, oh yeah, we have to do the adult one. So we're pulling from adults on Wednesday. Thursday, we are going to have, you're probably for the time being, we're doing classroom 5 days a week, 6 days a week. So for Thursday, we are going to have Throwback Thursday. Thursday is now Throwback Thursday. Friday is going to be junior, is going to be pre-youth again. Saturday, so Saturday, if we do 6 days, we do pre-youth twice, we do adults twice. Saturday is going to be youth. So now we have to make one of the pre-youths at least on pre-youth level because we need the beginners pre-youth to be able to have another class to go to. Thursday, if Throwback Thursday does come into existence, I will have you look at the data in just a minute. Let that sink in for just a minute. I will have you look at the data and see which days when we do classroom do we get the most active response. We'll pull all the classroom videos and we want to see which days. This way we know which day to eliminate because it's a 5-day-a-week classroom. It's not 6 days. Now the 130 track is basically empty. That's why I want to know if you want to add to it. I guess not. Classroom will be to the corresponding rotation, will now be put under rotational law. So therefore, whatever class is being taught that day is the type of lesson that will be taught in in classroom. So we're going to have youth classroom, beginner class, pre-youth beginner classroom, young adult classroom. Now it probably makes more sense to put classroom for adults because even though we're teaching that twice. But if we do it 6 days, then youth will get a chance to go twice. But remember, youth can go into adults and adults can go into, youth can go into young adults and young adults can go into youth and adults. So therefore, basically, youth does get 2 advantages. The young adults are going to be the adult curriculum lowered so that youth and adults can understand it. The adults, which according to God's Book of Life, seniors class, is going to be just for the adults. So therefore, young adults and adults will share that class. Now, pre-youth juniors and youth can share classroom for Tuesday and Friday. They can share it because they are close to each other. So youth can go to classroom on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but not Thursdays. Pre-youth can go to classroom on Mondays and Fridays. So now they get to go twice. While juniors can go on Fridays, Tuesdays, and Fridays and Tuesdays. And youth gets to go um it's confusing, I know. Youth gets to go Tuesdays and Wednesdays. The adults can go Wednesdays and Thursdays. So remember, we have to have visibly different levels of education amongst. So we're not going to have just youth written on the classroom. We're going to have youth and young adults. Or for Thursday, young adults and adults. Friday, pre-youth beginner and pre-youth juniors. And for Tuesday, youth and pre-youth juniors. So we're going to have a consensus of who can go in there. Now, Friday, the youth is going to be in the juniors class. But that juniors class will be able to split between the youth. Wait, no, youth can go to young adults. So we'll have it sorted out. I think it's best if instead of having one size fits all, we have one size fits two every other day. And then now we go to our 4:30 track, which is just now how we're going to do God's Book of Life. We have children, adults, seniors. God's Book of Life will teach adult style Wednesday and older adult style Thursday. Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays need to be catered to teenagers. That's the curriculum I'm using. So that Tuesdays and Fridays should be catered to teenagers, which we don't have that group, but it will be accommodating for youth while accommodating for the pre-youth. Then Monday is going to be the beginners, which beginners can go to juniors. So pre-youth have to be accommodating for youth and for beginners. Because remember, there's some beginners who's going to go in with the juniors. So that's why on God's Book of Life, junior and junior have to be on teenagers level. Youth have to be on. Youth can stay on their level. Young adults can stay on their level, and the adults stay on their level. But it's really about kids. Youth is on their level. Juniors meets in the middle. Beginners stay on their level. Because what happened is we want youth to can fit in with the juniors and beginners to can fit in with the juniors class. Now remember, it's not going to be anybody's class. This is just for us, staff members. So we know to teach a little bit different. Specialty. We only have one specialty class designed for children, which is the Christian Youth Fellowship. So how many classes do we have for children? specifically. Pre-youth beginners, pre-youth juniors, and Christian youth fellowship. Everywhere else is shared, public space. We have teach me how to pray is public. Theology is catered to adults. Biblical understandings is public. Bible studies public. Young adults and adults are catered to, well, adults, hence the name. So we have three classes for each. Now, here's the thing. Beginners, how many classes do we have catered to beginners alone without it being shared by anyone else? Just one. So we need to do something better. Now, juniors just got their own studio. Yeah, juniors just got their own studio. See, we've been bouncing the juniors around. Juniors are a lot more stable than the beginners. And juniors just got their own studio. Yeah, I see your chat. So we should see that the pre-youth beginner, and we're gonna go to the pre-youth website. Oh, it's backwards. It's department, not ministry. Now we have chief of the youth department. Now we have managers. This used to be the Durden um, pair, but they left the church, so we haven't had time to update. We do still have our tutoring services. Bios Baptist Church will not be using Messenger for most tutoring services. Yeah, we got rid of Messenger because it's too much problem. We have tutoring form, Bible trivia, and here is the old pre-youth room. I'm trying to see if I could get any information on this department. So we have the introductory prayer, Apostle Creed, Neon's Creed, fun questions, scripture, lesson plan, discussion, closing prayer. And then we have the first lesson ever taught here, which is opening the department. That will be a safe place by Anastasia Durden. That's when she used to work here. And then this is the submit form to get in touch with the youth department, which I don't know who does that go to. So this is the old youth department. Oh yeah, the new youth department, the curtains don't close. We used to can close the curtains at the end of class. So yeah, we have the church has Facebook. Yeah, they have all this stuff. Let's see what the youth department's doing. So this needs to be updated. I'm gonna put in an order. Now we have the lead. The Widow and the Unjust Judge, August 14th, 2018. That might be a ceremonial video, or it's too high up. Tutoring services. These websites are structured the same almost. Into new Bible class. So these are really Bible classes. Yeah. Let's just call it, yeah. So introductory prayer, fun questions, scripture lesson plan, discussion, closing prayer. And we're gonna take his name off and his email and put up. I know the first one we ever did was the secret of peace. The secret of peace. Notice the studio hasn't changed. They probably need to do a renovation. And it's nobody would ever get to use these filming studios. Here's the same, get in touch with us. Why are they showing the pre-roof room? Let's do back to top. So yeah, so we have our own website for each department. So we probably need to update it to add more stuff. We're going to be doing a lot of updates this year over the Christmas holiday. We got our foot in the door with the website. We renovated it over the summer. Now we would like to make more scriptural, ministerial part of it. So we have our youth department set up. Now let's go to another division. It's the same. It's by the Department of Education. It's going to be under the Department of Education. I'm not confirming anything. So yeah. And first up, you'll see our syllabuses. It's all decked out for Christmas. And then you see our specialty classes, which we're going to add more. And then we have tutoring. That's another one. So we do have tutoring. That's a part of the youth department. Now the motto is boosting confidence in students. How can we what now we had this big meeting back in July because our youth department our tutoring department wasn't so good. It was off to a rocky start. For for example, we were getting complaints and all that, and then we were getting curriculum complaints. So it was off to a rocky start, not to mention how we responded to certain situations. So we have different pamphlets, online pamphlets. Do poor skills harm your child's confidence? How do I know if my child needs tutoring? Here is how parental support and tutoring go together. The word here is spelled wrong. 3 habits to drop if you want to pass. And then after you read all those pamphlets now, you can sign up. Or if you have questions, still you can message this department, or you can. I thought I just said you can sign. No, you can read about how we do our tutoring Mondays, Tuesdays, Fridays from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. for 1 hour, phone number, appointment, and then you can go to other links to get more information. If you click tutoring service, it just takes you back to the top of the page. Get more information. And then you ask a question, you submit it. Rules, if you want to see the rules and you know there's policies, you got to click that. Of course, you have YouTube, email, Instagram, And then you're gonna have your Facebook icons at the bottom of your information page. You have messaging. Oh yeah, you have the form now that you fill out if you want to sign up yourself. Put all this information here. We have to know your country and province because we do tutor from different countries. And then you put the time that you would like your tutoring to occur regularly. We are open 7 days a week and we do have our own calendar. We might put a menu up here. And then if you want to see the hours, then you come down a little further and you'll see all of our contact information, all of our hours. And once again, you can email the pastor personally or email the church personally. And then we have authorized personnel only. Do not enter button. So when you see a do not enter button on our website, obviously that means do not enter. But a lot of people want to obey it. So they go in there, they try to log in, and they get in trouble. A lot of trouble. So, yeah, if we see an email address we do not recognize, we will obviously go back and send them another email. I don't know how foolproof that is. Now, the Department of Education hosts Christian Youth Fellowship. So we have orientation for all the classes. This is a year-long class. Semester, year-long. So therefore it's going to go over into next semester and into the third semester. And then these are all these, you can see the book, you can see the video. Sometimes we grill. This one is probably for school and his parents. At the last, yeah, most of the time we do it outside in the multi-purpose room. If we can't use the multi-purpose room, then we will use the um blank room, which we no longer have a blank room. So therefore, we have that. We need to have a children's church set up. So how are we going to pull that off? You see, we have all these extra classes, and we do not have the basic components of a church. We don't have a Sunday school. We don't have a children's church. We don't have men and women's discipleship class. And I know someone that would make a good teacher but don't want to teach because she don't like to sing, she don't like to teach in front of people. I see some laughing faces in the chat. So yeah, we can't do the women's class. See, we have youth ministry, have all those ministries, but we do not have a men's ministry. Now, if we do create a men's ministry, we can create it for the youth, young adult, and adult classes. So once you are 13, you eligible. Now, women's ministry, once you're 13, you're eligible because you are able to enter into general classes about 3 years. Well, 3 years prior to the age of majority. That's our policy because that we prepare you for being in there. So that's how we got youth in there. Not to mention they're going to be in there anyway. So therefore, Why not just let them all in? Now there is a test you can take and move yourself up. I appreciate the overhaul of the announcements portion of the church website. And I like how I can express my concerns on that website, as well as wish people happy birthday and happy anniversary, educational opportunities, job opportunities, church announcement, tithe and offering, community announcements, official subscriber count. I like that. How you put the numbers in bold. So that's perfect. And then you put all three of our channels up there so they know that they can actually go and subscribe to them and do whatever with them. I think that's how we got views from this website. And then I like the simplicity of the sermon section where instead of it being bunched in with the other announcements, it's separated and it's made big so you can clearly see the 3 points of the sermon. And then underneath we ask, please let this lesson apply to your outside life. So we just ask that so plainly underneath the sermon section. And then the sermon is right there, and then the name of it is above it. Come worship with us. Because everything looks so good right here. So we just ask, come worship with us. Your eyes are going to get caught up here. It is busybody. I do have to say that. For all the emojis and all that. But we want to look like a tech savvy institution. So yeah. I like the Christmas trees on the church hours. So we are having an emergency hours drill. Now you can only work 2 shifts. So emergency hours, we eliminate night shift. We don't have to do drills, because we have so many things that qualify as emergencies. Eventually, we'll be using those hours. So we could just wait for the disaster to happen, or we could be well battered up and prepared. I'd rather be prepared. So we'll do the drill. So day shift is its usual time. Now, we restrict the church to daylight hours during emergencies. Because if there really is a problem and it escalates, we need to be able to do everything in daylight. We need to see. So 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m., which is 12 and a half hours work day, but in 3 different shifts, so you can only work one, not three. We'll do that. So I'm sad to hear that we didn't come to any other conclusion, little more than how to split the ages and how to put the ages and what laws to put into the class. Sad to hear that. I am pleased to hear that we are able to do any more, that we are able to do more classes. So, yeah, we do have small groups. We have a bunch. What we should do is name the classes. Okay, we'll probably do that in the next meeting. You know what? I'm gonna call a recess. I'm gonna call a 24-hour recess, and then we are going to meet back here on this matter.